5 years ago, my sister-in-law, Isabella, who stole $100,000 from our family home, showed up out of nowhere. I'm moving back in with my husband and in-law, so you'll need to leave. Excuse me? There's no family home left, you know. Isabella seemed confused. Huh? So here's the backstory. I'm Rachel, just turned 30. 6 years ago, I met Owen at work, and we got married and I left my job. Owen and I decided to live in the guest house on my parents' property. The guest house is spacious and is close to Owen's workplace, so he was totally fine with the idea. I have a younger brother named Joshua. In high school, he even played in the state championship for American football, but never turned pro. Or rather, couldn't. But he was pretty popular locally and among the ladies, so he got married to Isabella a year before I did, and they also lived on the family property. Isabella was stunning. She could have easily been a model. Joshua fell head over heels for her. However, after marrying Joshua, Isabella showed her true colors and was always arguing with him. And then 5 years ago, she took off with $100,000 that was stashed in Dad's room. Even though it was a full-blown crime, Dad didn't want to make a big deal, so he didn't report it to the police. Joshua was desperately searching for Isabella, but never found her. About 3 years after Isabella disappeared, Dad suddenly passed away due to an infectious disease. Then, just 2 weeks later, Mom also died from the same disease. Losing both parents so quickly, I couldn't easily accept the reality. Neither could Joshua, and we were both in a state of shock. It took us about a month to come to terms with our parents being gone. Joshua, it's just the two of us now. Why didn't you take over the house? He didn't respond. After a while, he finally said, Rachel, I'm thinking of leaving this place. And that took me by surprise. Wait, why is that? Well, my high school buddy owns a hotel by the sea and has been asking me to help him out for a while, so I'm thinking of working there. If that's what you want, Joshua, I won't object. A few days later, Joshua moved to the seaside town. After he left, I felt lonely looking at our empty family home where both my parents and Joshua used to live. Owen noticed and said, Rachel, you look lonely. Hearing that from Owen, I broke down crying and he gently hugged me. After a moment, Owen suggested, how about we rent an apartment somewhere and move? I was glad Owen offered that. Yes, let's. This place feels too big and lonely. So what do we do with this house? We can't leave it empty. Rent it or sell it? Let's sell it, but I'll inform Joshua first. All right, I'll get the process started. Thank you. I tried calling Joshua's cell to tell him about selling our family home, but his phone was off. I called the hotel he was supposed to be working at, and a friend told me he had suddenly canceled and had been unreachable ever since. Unable to contact Joshua, I was unsure what to do. In the end, I told Owen to proceed with selling the house. Owen contracted a real estate agent he knew. And to our surprise, the house sold quickly and for a great price, leaving both Joshua and me with a hefty inheritance. I wanted to tell Joshua, but I couldn't get in touch with him. 2 years passed. One day, Owen came home with a serious look on his face. A colleague at work said he saw Isabella. This colleague had attended our wedding, where he'd seen Isabella. She had been a standout beauty at the wedding, leaving a lasting impression. Where did he see her? After seeing a movie with his wife, they went to a nearby coffee shop. She was there drinking coffee alone. What was she doing? Looked like she was waiting for someone. So she had an appointment with someone then. Seems like it. But why appear now? I wonder where she's been all this time. What happened to the money she took? It's probably all gone. Should we tell Joshua about this? I think it's better we don't. It would be cruel to bring up old memories, especially when he's finally moved on. So we decided not to tell Joshua about Isabella. It's not like anything would change for Joshua if Isabella came back now, but Isabella's story didn't end there. A week after my coworker spotted Isabella, I got a surprising call from her. I didn't recognize the number on my phone, so I answered, wondering who it could be. Long time no talk, Rachel. How have you been? Her voice was upbeat, but to me, it seemed careless. I couldn't identify who it was. Who is this? Forgot my voice already. It's me, Isabella. I was so shocked that for a moment, I couldn't find the words to respond. Finally, I spoke, my voice icy. What are you doing now? Rachel, are you mad? Well, I guess that's understandable. Isabel chuckled on the other end of the line. Where are you right now? I'm in a coffee shop near the cinema, where Owen's coworkers saw me. Isabella knew she had been seen. Why didn't you contact me sooner then? Well, there were some complications. By the way, Rachel, can you come over here? Right now? Yes. I had no other plans, so I decided to go. Fine, I'm coming. I quickly got ready and headed to the coffee shop where Isabella was waiting. I arrived about 30 minutes later and reunited with Isabella for the first time in 5 years. She looked as stunning as ever, even more so than before, drawing admiring glances from men around her. Once I sat down and ordered coffee, Isabella spoke bluntly. I'm moving back in with Joshua and our parents-in-law, so you better move out. What? There's no home left, Upon hearing this, Isabella widened her eyes. Huh? My parents are gone. They passed away from an infectious disease 2 years ago. That's why I sold the house. Isabella clicked her tongue softly. You've got to be kidding. So you showed up because you were after the house, huh? How dare you? You stole money from my family and then disappeared. Don't think I'll let you forget that. Hearing my words, Isabella retorted. That's not true. It was Joshua who told me to steal the money. Don't make it sound like it was only my fault. I couldn't understand what Isabella was getting at. I don't understand what you're talking about. Then Isabella raised her voice. That's what I'm saying. Joshua told me to steal the money and then he said to hide it somewhere and wait. I was dumbstruck upon hearing this, and I just couldn't believe what Isabella had said. I can't believe you, Do you have any proof? I do. Take a look at this. Isabella pulled a piece of paper from her bag and handed it to me. It was a bank transfer statement. The sender was Isabella, and the receiver was listed as Joshua. The amount matched what Isabella had taken off with 5 years ago. I was shaking with disbelief at the turn of events. So you believe me now, right? I mustered up the courage to speak. So you and Joshua planned to steal my parents' money from the beginning. Exactly. Joshua recently said he's bored living in the countryside and wants to return to his family home. So where's Joshua now? He's been living with me in an apartment nearby since last month. What happened to the stolen money? Isabella made a sly face and said, We spent it all, but it's Joshua's fault. He got hooked on gambling and it disappeared in no time. Hearing that they had squandered the money my parents worked so hard to save, I burst into tears. Isabella looked at me curiously. Why are you crying, Rachel? It's not like we stole your money. She paused, then looked as though she'd had an epiphany. I get it. You're crying because the inheritance you were supposed to get was used by Joshua. My heart sank further at Isabella's words. No, I'm crying because what you did to my parents is so unfair. Isabella looked flabbergasted. What are you talking about? What's wrong with using parents' money? They earn it for their children after all. My parents didn't work their butts off so you and Joshua could blow their savings on gambling. I don't get what you're saying. It's all the same if the child ends up using the parents' money. You don't have to get it. Actually, you'll never get it. As I said that, Isabella changed her tone and yelled, Don't be rude. What about your brother? He's not working, just fooling around. Her words broke me and I started crying uncontrollably. Then Isabella picked up her mobile phone and made a call. Joshua, can you come here now? Your sister is saying some really strange stuff. Isabella told Joshua to come here, but from what I gathered, Joshua seemed to have declined. Fine, never mind, I'll tell her that. And by the way, your sister is mad. Isabella hung up. Joshua says he won't come here. Seems like he doesn't want to see you. That makes sense. He's been lying to me all this time. If I see Joshua again, who knows what I'll do. Wow, scary, scary. Tell me where Joshua is now. Fine, I'll tell you, considering I've lost my family home and I'm fine with leaving Joshua now. I felt sorry for Joshua being misled by such a heartless and frivolous woman, but still couldn't forgive him for squandering my parents' hard-earned money. The next day I went with Owen to the place where Isabella said Joshua was staying. It was a cheap apartment with shared kitchens and bathrooms. I knocked on the shaky wooden door. I heard a TV playing inside, but no one answered. Owen knocked harder. The TV went silent, as if someone inside was holding their breath. Owen pushed open the door with ease, revealing Joshua inside with untamed hair and a scruffy beard. Shockingly, Isabella was also there, lying on a grimy bed. "Joshua, long time no see. What are you doing here?" "As you can see, nothing much." "I thought you were working at a friend's hotel." "Yeah, that might have happened." "Is it true that you gambled away the family money?" Upon hearing this, Joshua suddenly turned to Isabella and yelled, "What the hell did you say?" "I only told the truth." "So what did you say?" "That you love gambling." Joshua's face turned beet red with anger. "So it sounds like I'm the only one who used the money?" "Pretty much." "Don't lie. You also bought tons of jewelry and designer bags." Joshua grabbed a nearby beer bottle and moved toward Isabella on the bed. Feeling threatened, Isabella quickly stood up and hid behind us. "Hey, come over here." Owen snatched the beer bottle from Joshua's hand. "Calm down. That's not acceptable." "And what are you saying, ignoring your own faults?" "What did you say?" "Isabella, please be quiet. You're just provoking Joshua." "Listen to me too." "What?" "I found out later that Isabella stole money. I told her to return it and she transferred it to my account. But then she used my credit card number to buy famous brands of bags and perfume, spending about $50,000. "That's awful." "Exactly. That's why I was working at my best friend's hotel trying to save up and repay it. But Isabella said that with my hotel salary, it would take decades to repay it all." Joshua started to cry and couldn't finish his sentence. I walked over to Joshua and comforted him by patting his back. "I understand." Joshua said, his voice shaky with tears. "I'm sorry, Rachel. Isabella told me that gambling would be an easy way to make money. I got carried away and ended up using all the money." Tears streamed down Joshua's face as he spoke next to me. However, Isabella looked at him with disdain. "What are you talking about? You're just acting too." "I'm not lying. I know it's also my fault for letting myself be swayed by what Isabella said." "I believe you, Joshua." "Do you have any proof that I stole the money all by myself? If so, show it." Joshua looked frustrated, but then his face lit up. "Actually, I might have some evidence." "No way you do." "Rachel, I think my old phone has text messages from Isabella saying she took $100,000 from Dad's room, and it should have the messages where she said I should just gamble to make money." Hearing this, Isabella's tone changed. "I only mentioned gambling as a hypothetical. I never thought you'd actually do it. But it still serves as evidence that you took the money without consulting anyone." "Joshua, where's your old phone?" Joshua looked distressed. "I don't know where it is because it's an old phone." "Where is your stuff then?" "I had planned to work at a friend's hotel, so I sent my stuff to their place, but I canceled without telling them, so they might have thrown it all away." Isabella's face showed relief. "Joshua, call that friend and ask if they still have your things." "I broke a promise with my best friend, so I'm hesitant, but I'll give it a try." Joshua left to make the call in the corridor, because the reception was poor inside the apartment. But after a while, Joshua returned. "Looks like we're good. They kept all my stuff. I asked them to charge the old phone and forward the messages from Isabella." Isabella stood up abruptly and shouted, sobbing, "I'm leaving. I'm never coming back here." "You're staying right here until the messages arrive." Owen quickly moved in front of the door to block her exit. About 30 minutes later, Joshua's phone buzzed. It was a message from his friend. Joshua showed me and Owen the message, which clearly indicated that Isabella had stolen the money. When I looked at Isabella, she was burying her face in the bed and crying. "It's all out now. With this evidence, I plan to report you to the police." Isabella cried out, "Please forgive me. I'll work and I'll pay it all back." "You took a big game, but I bet you'll just run away when the going gets tough." "That's not true, I swear." "Sorry, but I know you better than anyone. You can't resist buying things you want." "I won't buy anything anymore, I promise." "Do you really mean that? I promise?" Sitting like that, are you actually sorry? Isabella was lounging on the bed, legs thrown carelessly to the side. Realizing her posture, Isabella quickly sat upright, but I continued. "If you're genuinely sorry, then show it." Finally getting it, Isabella straightened up, placing her hands on her lap. I am truly sorry. I will pay back every penny no matter what. All right. Write that down, and at the bottom put that if you don't pay back the full amount, I have the right to go to the police. Shaking visibly, Isabella nonetheless took the paper I handed her and wrote down what I'd said, signing it. Rachel, you really trust her? She'll betray us. Right now, even if we get her arrested, we won't get the money back. She'll work it off and repay us, or else she'll answer to our parents in heaven. Okay, fine, you're right. And Joshua, don't forget you also need to repay the money you spent gambling. I know. I'll work at my buddy's place. A month went by. Isabella tried to find work but was unsuccessful in the end. She ended up working as a hotel maid at a hotel owned by one of Joshua's friends. I felt relieved knowing Joshua was keeping an eye on her, so there was no worry she'd run off. 2 months passed since they started their jobs at the hotel. Joshua was a jack of all trades at the hotel and seemed to be doing well. Isabella, however, was struggling. She constantly mentioned wanting to quit, according to Joshua. Each time she did, Joshua would remind her, would you rather work here or go to prison? Another 3 months went by. Owen and I decided to take an overnight trip and secretly visited the hotel where Joshua and Isabella were working. Shortly after we were escorted to our room, a noticeably thin hotel maid brought in the amenities. As she noticed us, she gasped, dropping the amenities. It's been a while. I'll bring new amenities right away. I've been working hard. I recognized the voice and realized the thin maid was Isabella. She had lost so much weight, her features had changed completely, and she looked like she could collapse at any moment. After Isabella left, Joshua came into our room. Rachel, if you're coming, you could have told me. Isabella got startled and dropped the amenities. Isabella looked entirely different. I couldn't even recognize her. Every night she goes to bed crying, saying how hard it is, but she has to keep working until she pays back all the money. I guess I have to repay the money I lost gambling. Joshua said, his face etched with sadness.